Hello, today I'm going to talk about backpacks. And very specifically, I'm going to talk about buying a backpack for a Boy Scout. And the reason why is because Boy Scouts are probably one of the most difficult to buy for, mostly due to the fact that they don't have a lot of money, or their parents are spending a lot of money on the kids and a lot of other endeavors, and so when it comes to backpacking, they really don't have the funds to buy something really expensive. And another problem with Boy Scouts is that they're in between the ages of 12 or 11, 12 to 16 is when they go through huge growth spurts. And so, and the key part of a backpack is that it needs to fit. And so buying a backpack that fits through that age range is pretty difficult. And so hopefully this video can help in that area. This is also a good video for beginners that don't want to spend a lot of money on backpacks, or maybe want to see what options they have. And so first I'm going to go into a theory about it. And when a Boy Scout wants to buy a backpack, they go with their mom, generally, sometimes their dad, and incidentally, I would say there's a large amount of Boy Scouts that they're in single parent families, and the parents are generally the mom. And the mom, just out of lack of experience, doesn't know what she needs to buy her son for Scouts. And so they go to the store. They don't go to they don't have a lot of money. They go to a store like Big Five or Academy or some other big box sports store, or it may be Walmart, looking for a backpack, and they look around and they buy one that looks nice and it's not too expensive. Here's a good example of one. This is one of my Boy Scouts bought. I don't know the brand, or it's high-tech. It's a high-tech pack, and he bought this pack. It looks cool. Looks like it would serve him well. But you run into problems because first they buy the backpack and then they buy the sleeping bag. So before we go into backpacks, let's talk about sleeping bags. I'm not going to go into too much other than just sizes. I'm going to show you 3 different sleeping bags. First of all, this is an intermediate weather or intermediate temperature Army sleeping bag. It's an older one. It's not the newer type. It's the older type, maybe 15 years ago, what they issued. And then here's a bag, or a sleeping bag, that I bought my son. It's a synthetic bag. It's Kelty. It's a 30-degree bag. It's for a kid, so it's a little bit on the heavy side. It's around 3 pounds. You can see the different sizes here. And then this is a Kelty Lightyear 20-degree down bag I bought for my wife. It's a woman's bag. And you can see that it's a little bit smaller than this one, and it's lighter by a little bit. This is like 2.5 pounds, I believe, around that. And this one's just huge. And so, because of trying to find a sleeping bag that isn't extremely expensive, but is also big enough to fit the Scout and warm enough to go into the mountains, which usually you need a 20-degree bag or a 30-degree bag, they buy something that's around the size of this. Trust me, as a Scoutmaster, I see a lot of sleeping bags that are this size. In fact, there's a decent sleeping bag at Walmart. It's a Coleman Extreme sleeping bag. It's rated for 0 degrees, which means that it's probably really rated for about 25, 30. A lot of my Scouts buy it. In fact, I recommend them to buy that one if they buy anything at Walmart. That's the only one I let them buy. But if you look at the size of this, you look at the size of this backpack, you realize that they don't fit. Or that this sleeping bag, you can probably get it in the backpack, but then there's nothing else, there's no more room in the pack to put anything else. So because of that, now that they have everything other than the sleeping bag, it's hanging on the outside of their backpack so that they can go backpacking. And my solution to that is first buy your sleeping bag. Buy your sleeping bag first, so you know what size it's going to be. Don't buy your backpack first. And if you have to buy one that's big, look at the size. If you buy one that's this size and not one that's this size, you really only have one choice in backpacks, and that's to buy an external frame pack. If you buy something that's this size, which is going to be more expensive, then you can buy whatever pack you want, because you can fit it into an internal frame pack. So this pack right here, it's internal frame. You look at it. There's frame bars on the inside, but you don't really see any external bars sticking out, and it's not, the volume isn't that great. This one's a 50 liter pack, and I have myself a 65 that I like to take sometimes. Here's my 65 liter Kelty. It's a little bit bigger, but even this, when I put this sleeping bag in here, it's going to fill it up. I don't want to have very much room to put anything else. In fact, you have this sleeping bag compartment on the bottom, but if your sleeping bag is really bigger than this will fit in there barely, then you're not going to have much room to put anything else in there. So my first point of advice is that if you're on a budget and you buy your sleeping bag first and it's big, then buy an external frame pack. If internal frame packs are great if they fit correctly and then everything fits inside of them. And that usually means that you spend a lot of money on it. You gotta buy a good quality sleeping bag that's small, that packs up tight, and then you've got to get a pack that fits you correctly, which means you got to go to a store that fits packs, buy a good quality pack that has the right fit. And so that's great if you can, but if you can't spend that much money, and I'm talking, at least $100, not to $150 on the sleeping bag alone, and then your pack is going to be around the same range. So $300, $350. If you can spend that much money on a pack and a sleeping bag, then you can look at whatever options you want. If you can't, then you're going to want to look at external frames. So let's look at external frame packs. And I have two here that are good for the boys. Here is an external frame pack that's going to have this frame that you see on the outside. It's usually going to have an empty spot on the bottom. You're going to want a hip belt. You're going to want to have shoulder straps. Make sure they have those things. But the biggest thing is that you have this big empty spot on the bottom. And what that is for your sleeping bag. And so if you do buy a big sleeping bag like this, you can just strap it on. Put straps on it. It fits. Doesn't matter how big it is. You can put a big sleeping bag on the bottom. So if you have a sleeping bag that's kind of large, that's bigger than this, or even if you do buy one that's like this, it still fits. You can have a big sleeping bag, you can have a little sleeping bag, put it on the bottom. And here's one, this is Outdoor Products. This one's a Kelty. They're both made for youth. I bought them. I got this as a gift. This one I bought at Campmore. You can buy them both at Campmore. Campmore.com. This even has strap parts, or a sleeve to put a strap through. And so you can put big sleeping bags on external frames. And another benefit of external frames is that they're going to be cheaper. These packs, well, this one is more expensive, the Kelty. It's around $100. And this Outdoor Products is around $50. And for that price, it's a really good pack. Not only will it hold the gear that you need to hold, especially if you're a Boy Scout, but it'll also fit a Boy Scout. It can be adjusted down. Okay, the first pack we're going to talk about is this one. This is the Outdoor Products I don't remember what the name of it is. Dragonfly maybe. But it's probably the cheapest, one of the cheapest packs you can buy, price-wise, and it's still pretty good quality. The frame is plastic, and it's an external frame, as you can see, and the adjustments, it's made for a young scout or a young kid, and so the hip belt is small, and the shoulder straps are small, and in this frame they make this frame for an adult pack and for a kid pack, and they don't change the frame size. They just use the same frame, and they just, for the kids pack like this one, they just use smaller shoulder straps and smaller hip belt, and for the adult pack they use bigger ones, of course. Because of that, you can adjust. There's a lot of adjustment. This can move really far down, or right now it's the farthest down it can go, or I can adjust it way up higher for somebody bigger. And the same with the hip belt. And then the pack itself, it's the normal, it has a bottom spot to put your sleeping bag. It has a big main compartment, and then it actually has two compartments. It has this smaller part and then a larger part. And it actually, it has a lot of room, especially for what scouts are going to do. And it's just this is a good pack for a scout. And it's about $50, depending on where you buy it. It's also probably as far as an external frame, it's going to be a heavier option for them. But it's not that bad. It's around 3 pounds. This outdoor products pack, showing you, here's my 9-year-old son, and you can see that you can adjust it so that the shoulder straps are where they're supposed to be. The hip belt is on his hip. I guess it should be that right there. I can move the hip belt up and down on this part right here. This is the highest it goes. This can go a little bit farther down if he was a little bit smaller. But for the most part, for a 9-year-old, this can be sized down to fit him. Now for a 12-year-old, which is the younger age of a Boy Scout, you can be able to adjust it up a little bit, and it'll fit them really well. It'll also fit, you can adjust it up to somebody who's around 16, so that it fits them as well. So as far as fit, this pack is really good. And as far as cost, it's even better. The next pack we're going to talk about is this Kelty. This is the Long Trail Junior, but they have, the newer one is they don't make this one anymore. They make another one that I think is called the Tioga Junior. And it has, this has, instead of a plastic frame, it has an aluminum frame. And it has the hip belts are, and the padding is a little bit more padded than the outdoor products is, so it's more comfortable. It also costs a little more, and it's going to be a little bit lighter. I think this is less than 10 pounds. I need to weigh it. It's pretty adjustable. This one won't fit an adult. It doesn't have as much of an adjustment as the outdoor products does, but the fact that it fits a 12-year-old and it can go up to about 15 or 16-year-old pretty well. So it'll serve for the early days, and it'll fit my 9-year-old. So if you have a son that's 8 or 9 and you want to take him backpacking up until they're 13 or 14, this pack will serve that range. And this one costs about $100. And just like the outdoor products, it has a big spot for your sleeping bag, separate, and then this one has just one big compartment to put all your stuff in, and then it has 2 or 3 pockets on the side. And it's a very good pack. Very good pack. Okay, so here's the Kelty, and again I have it on my 9-year-old son. The belt, you can tell, can go smaller. It's sitting up on his hips right now, where it's supposed to be. This distance, I haven't adjusted it down yet, but it can go a little bit farther down. But even here, it's not bad. And the frame size fits a 9-year-old pretty well. So this is another good pack. for it. So I've had this on 12-year-olds before that were small. Not as small as him, but you know. In fact, that's where this is adjusted for the last time, is the 12-year-old I had.
Yeah.
And it fit him pretty well. In fact, it was probably one of the better fitted packs in the troop. So, another good fit for somebody small. Okay, the next pack I'm going to show is this one. And this one is the military's Molly pack. And actually, you know, price-wise, this one, you can get these for about $65, $70 online if you look around, a full pack. Some of them are really expensive, but there's places I've seen that, you know, they'll sell a used one for around $60, $70. And actually, I bought this in pieces. I bought the shoulder straps and the hip belt and the frame for $19, well, it was about $30 with shipping and handling. And then I bought this bag for around $10 at an Army surplus store. And if you notice, it doesn't have the bottom. There's supposed to be a bottom pocket that I didn't buy, and I won't buy. I don't think I need it. And it's for your sleeping bag to put in here. Now the reason why I don't recommend this for scouts is because it's really heavy. The frame is really heavy, and everything is just super heavy. However, the reason I'm showing you this is because you can use part of these parts to your advantage. And in fact, if you look online, you can find where you can buy just the shoulder or the hip belt, just the shoulder straps, and you know, for $15, $20 for the shoulder straps, $10 to $15 for the hip belt. And then, you know, you just buy those two components, and then I'm going to show you what you can do if you don't want to, if you want to, you know, kind of mix and match a few things. So I'll show you that in a minute. Another option is to piece together a pack. And as an example, I'm going to show you, here's a frame, and I bought both of these frames at a thrift store. I had to look around different thrift stores in town. I bought this one actually, well actually I didn't buy this one at a thrift store. I bought this one when I was 12, or my parents bought this one when I was 11 with it was a full pack, and the only thing that's left of it is the frame. We bought it for $5 at a garage sale when I was 11, and I used it the whole time that I was in Boy Scouts, all the way up through 18. In fact, I even went on a backpacking trip with my friends when I was 18, and I used this pack, and it was a great pack. And but I've learned a little more about packs and how to make them real comfortable. And so, but I keep the frame because it's a really good frame still. And here's another frame, and this one is a smaller one, as you can tell, and it's great for your smaller scouts. So, you know, don't worry about the straps that it has on it. Just look for the aluminum frames, and even if it has a pack bag, you can use the pack bag. And if it doesn't have a pack bag, that's okay too. And usually you buy, like I bought this one for about $3 at a thrift store, and I've bought another one of these that I've been modding for my own backpack that I've been making, and it was $5. So, you know, look for frames. I've seen them with their old bags on them, and you know, the whole full packs for around $5, $10. And so these are good packs. You know, you just have to, but you can make them better. And so I'm going to show you how to make them better. All right, so now I've taken the shoulder straps and the hip belt off of my Molly pack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I put them on this guy. All right? Or I'm going to put them on him, and then I'm not going to, you'll get bored watching me put this on. But it's really easy. Just like it was on the original pack frame, even though this is tubular, but you can actually adjust it a little bit more. So let me show you. Okay, so here I show you, I put all this stuff on this frame. Luckily they're different colors, so it's easy to tell what happened. And I just, you know, here's the bottom bar on the frame, and I just I straddled these attachments for the hip belt across it. And then I put this strap is for the shoulder straps. So it goes in here, so when it'll hold it up. And then when all the weight goes, they all just kind of bind on each other. This is strapped between these two bars. It pretty much fits really well. I'll show you a picture. I'll roll one in of me when I took this frame, when these straps, and I just put a bunch of duffel bags on the top. You know, I put one duffel bag here and one duffel bag here, and I just used straps. I got some straps, and I just strapped it onto this thing. And that's, you know, no bag. I just used duffel bag, or stuff sacks. Actually, they're stuff sacks. And I had to because I was backpacking with a bunch of kids, my kids, that were young, and so I had to do some stuff so that, you know, I could carry more things that a normal backpack wouldn't be able to hold. So amazingly, I was able to put, well, so I put this same Molly hip belt on this frame, this small frame, and you know, it wasn't that hard, just like the other frame. I didn't take the shoulder straps that were on this frame already off. They're the same ones, but amazingly this belt is small enough to fit my 9-year-old, or at least it adjusts down small enough to fit my 9-year-old, barely. It's probably still a little big for him, but for a 12-year-old it'll be just fine. And you know, again, here's a frame, and you just put 2 stuff sacks on the bottom for a sleeping bag, on the top for all the other stuff, and you got a good pack for a 12-year-old. So that's 2 ways, or that's one way to get a really cheap pack without sewing, is you just buy the Molly hip belt and Molly shoulder straps, maybe, if you want, and get a cheap frame. You get a cheap frame, and then you buy stuff sacks like at REI for $10, and you get a couple of them, and then you get some other straps at REI to strap them onto the pack, to the frame, and there's your cheap backpack for around $50, I guess, which is about what this one costs. It'll be lighter than this one, but that's something to think about. All right, like I said before, this pack, here's the Outdoor Products pack. And you can put the Molly frame, or the Molly hip belt, and the shoulder straps. I didn't do it right now, but you can take, I just took this small shoulder, or the small hip belt, and put the Molly one, which can hold a whole lot more weight on it. And it fits just fine. So this is kind of the option if you have, you know, if your 12-year-old is kind of on the small side, but you know he's going to get big by the time he's 16. You can buy this pack. You can buy a $10 Molly hip belt, $10 Molly hip belt, and then just when he gets too big for the small one, you just put this big one on, and then he's still good. The pack still functions for him really well, actually. So, in conclusion, if you don't have a lot of money and you need to get a pack for your son, and it's for a Boy Scout, I would, you know, my best recommendation is an external frame pack. And you know, these 2 packs, you can also look at Jansport. That's the 3rd brand. Those 3 brands are probably your best quality brands as far as what you can buy off the shelf right now, buy at stores. But you know, don't rule out going to thrift stores, going to looking, you know, on classified ads, and you know, asking family members for external frame packs. And even, you know, if you need to modify, you need to replace a hip belt, it's not that big of a deal. So that's, you know, that's my recommendations for Scouts, is an external frame pack, unless you have money to spend on an internal frame that fits right. Thanks for watching my video. I will be able to, I'm going to get out some more videos about cheap backpacking equipment, and so stay tuned for more videos that talk about other types of equipment and backpacking that a Scout is going to want to look at. And thank you for watching.